Well, we can't have you recording the airport, okay?
Well, that's too bad. I'm going to do it anyways. Hey everybody, Pink Camera Magic here, and welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be the deposition of Deputy Barbaro. Deputy Barbaro was somebody who I made contact with in my arrest at the Cook County Courthouse. For those of you who are not familiar with that case, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description of a playlist that has all the relevant videos, starting with my arrest. In a nutshell, I was arrested outside of the Cook County Courthouse for recording outside of the building. And I'm hoping to take you through as much of the process with the lawsuits and things like that that's happened. And so go ahead and check that out if you'd like. And in the meantime, I've gotten a lot of comments about the first deputy who I talked to, and that was Deputy Barbaro, and we're going to go ahead and watch that deposition.
Would you raise your right hand if it's sworn, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, to the best of my ability.
You recognize anybody in this room?
No,
What about the young lady seated to my right? Do you recognize her?
no.
Do you know anything about the case that you're testifying about today?
I recall some of it.
What do you recall about it in general?
I recall in general, I don't even remember what month it was a while ago. There was a woman outside the building videotaping the building, scanning back and forth with the camera up and down, people coming in and out, possibly videotaping through the glass at the security post that I work at of the entry procedure. I observed her for, I want to say, at least 10 minutes or more, videotaping. I stepped outside, asked this lady if she was videotaping. She confirmed she was. I asked her for what purpose. I believe her answer was, because I want to.
So you called a supervisor.
As I'm supposed to do, yes.
What was she doing that was suspicious, if anything?
She was videotaping the building.
That's suspicious?
In a sense of recalling the 9/11 attacks, they installed cameras on the outside of the building to watch the intakes for the air system, in case someone wants to do something with that. We also usually, people are videotaping each other after weddings, if somebody's getting released from jail, happy situations. Somebody beats a case, they might be taking pictures or videotaping. She appeared to be videotaping just the building itself, possibly victims or witnesses coming out, I don't know. Like I said, she was scanning back and forth with the camera, up and down, taking pictures of herself in the reflection of the window. But again, suspicious to me was it was in front of the main entrance where the public enters, possibly videotaping the entry procedures.
So videoing the building is suspicious?
Only for the reasons I stated.
All right, guys, there's a couple of points that I wanted to bring up here real quick. The first being that it makes perfect sense what he's saying, right? He's the lowest ranking officer. He's just a deputy. And he actually makes a lot more sense than the sergeant, than the lieutenant, and even the judges. So he did what he's supposed to do. His job is to protect the building, and so he saw something that was kind of out of the ordinary. So of course it's his obligation to investigate, right? So he goes and he noticed that, well, okay, most people take video and pictures of like people getting released from jail, having weddings, and different things that the courthouse happens to have and function. And they see a lone woman kind of scanning, with her phone. And I was actually panning because I was new to my camera. I'm not very technologically inclined. Those of you who know me know that. But anyways, that's besides the point. I was doing something a little bit out of the ordinary. So he investigated, he questioned it, and then he called his lieutenant. So he did what he was supposed to do. And he was very honest about everything. And I appreciate that. Now, the higher up you get, it's like the worse off that you get as well with your directives and just your knowledge. And it's just like it all goes out the window. I don't know. But anyways, I also wanted to point out the fact that I was kind of on the fence about whether or not I should post this because aside from it being pretty short, the reason it is short is because he had a medical issue that we had to immediately stop the deposition and get him taken care of. I'm not quite sure about what happened after that. Hopefully he's okay. Ultimately, we ended up dropping him from the suit. So moving on, let's continue.
Well, I mean, you just talked a lot, and I'm not sure what reasons you're referring to. What about the way she was acting was suspicious?
She was by herself.
Okay.
She wasn't with anybody. Like I said, there's people who videotape all the time out
Alone.
front.
Okay.
She was alone, videotaping the front doors, scanning back and forth
Scanning.
with the camera, possibly videotaping people coming in and out.
Okay.
Again, we have people who are victims and or witnesses on trial, during trials, that have a right to privacy.
So it sounds like you're basically saying you had no clue what she was doing.
Other than videotaping, correct.
Right. So what I'm asking you is, if you have no clue why she's there videoing, it could be any of the sinister reasons you said, or a whole host of perfectly reasonable reasons, right?
Possibly.
So why do you jump to the list that you gave us?
Because
9/11 terror attacks. Did you think she was a terrorist? No?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Thankfully, at least not necessarily. Let me ask you this. What crime did you suspect her of committing?
Didn't suspect her necessarily of any crime.
What law did you have reasonable suspicion to believe she was breaking?
I can't state any specific law.
Okay. So the only thing that was suspicious in your mind is that she was videoing and she was alone and she was videoing the doors and she was scanning the building with her camera. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And in your mind that makes her suspicious, right?
As one of the security personnel here, yes.
Okay. So you did what you're supposed to do and you got a supervisor, right?
I questioned her as to what she was doing. She confirmed she was videotaping. I asked her why. She stated, because I want to. I called a supervisor.
And did you have any more involvement after that?
No, I waited for the lieutenant arrived. I informed him of what was going on, what I had called him for. Once he arrived, I believe Sergeant Larson walked behind him. She arrived shortly thereafter. I returned to my post.
Based on what you observed, did she commit a crime?
No.
Based on what you observed, is there any reasonable suspicion at all that Ms. Berquist was involved in unlawful activity?
Yes.
Okay. What unlawful activity? What crime? What law?
As I stated, videotaping the entry procedure.
Is that a law? You're not allowed to video the entry procedure?
I don't know that it's a law.
Okay, so the question was, what law did you have reasonable suspicion to believe she was violating?
A law? Don't know.
None, right?
To the best of my knowledge.
Are you aware that you need reasonable suspicion before you can detain somebody? Are you aware of that?
I didn't detain anybody.
I know that. I'm not saying you in general. I'm just saying like the general you, not you specifically. A law enforcement officer is not allowed to detain somebody unless there's reasonable suspicion that that person is involved in some sort of illegal activity. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And just so that I understand your testimony correctly, based on what you observed, you cannot articulate any illegal activity that gave you any reasonable suspicion that she was violating, right?
Illegal activity? No.
Well, you don't get to detain people if you have reasonable suspicion that they're committing legal activity, right?
I didn't detain anybody.
I know that. I'm talking about a regular law enforcement officer.
I'm a peace officer.
Okay? You're law enforcement as far as I'm concerned. Law enforcement is law enforcement. Aren't you? I didn't say police officer, I said law enforcement.
Yes.
Okay. So any law enforcement officer must have reasonable suspicion that the person is doing something illegal, right? Before they get to detain them, right?
Okay, so there's that. Now, ultimately, we ended up filing for summary of judgment, and they filed for the same thing as well. The judge ruled in their favor, and they ruled against mine. So ultimately, I lost this case. And they quoted some case law that absolutely does not make sense. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put that in the description as well. Basically, the case law they're referring to involves somebody who is hiding in the bushes and in the middle of the night and claiming that he's a process server or like a court server and stuff like that. And basically that they had a duty to identify me. When you and I know that that was a violation of my Fourth Amendment. So they ruled in their favor. We ended up appealing, and then during the appeal, we ended up settling for an undisclosed amount. I'm not supposed to say the amount, but you can Google it. Like literally, Cook County released it. So it's on them. I guess they violated their own protection order, if that makes sense. So you can Google it if you want to know any more information about that. I will have one more video on the Cook County incident here, and that's going to be to go over the final judgment and the decision. So we're going to go ahead and go over that. I'm going to make a video hopefully soon. In the meantime, while you're here, I really appreciate that. If you support what I do, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it with all your friends, and enable that bell if you want to get notified next time I post videos. So please let me know what you think about this video and the other videos in the comment section. And, there's always the court of public opinion, and that's what's important because we run this. I'm just saying. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys.